Hello, welcome back to Sarah Boone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Uncivil Law, where we turn our attention once again to Sarah Boone, wherein it seems we have a verdict, at least according to local news. There's a verdict that has been reached, which suggests guilty to me. They probably didn't even get through dinner yet. It is now 8:43 on the East Coast, and it appears that we have a verdict, which to me suggests a verdict of guilty. You know, to me, it suggests guilty, top count, easy. You know, just unambiguous, no nonsense. Probably guilty of top count, I would imagine. But we'll see. We shall see. It wasn't even 2 hours. It was an hour and change, I think. So we are just simply waiting. We've already seen some movement in the courtroom. We've seen some heads pop into scene and such. So we've seen some movement in the courtroom, some heads coming in and out. So it seems like there's some activity there. People are moving in to the courtroom. Dr. Barry's here. Hello, Dr. Barry. Dr. Barry, did you see that Star Wars: A New Hope made a surprisingly prominent appearance? Didn't see that one coming. Didn't see. Did you know in Star Wars when Darth Vader was having a dispute with that one guy, the other guy didn't go to HR? Did you know that? Apparently it was important to mention that. Today. We are hearing they've made a decision. We're seeing flurry activity. It certainly seems that there's a verdict. I hope so, or otherwise I put pants on for nothing. Well, that's a lie. I didn't put on pants. Apparently there is a verdict. There's a party in my pants, and everyone's invited. That's a pretty deep cut reference right there. Yeah, that's a deep cut. One of the things we do to abuse ourselves sometimes. Is this the right feed? Yeah. It's live. The microphone is moving. So, yeah, I think so. She'll do fine on the inside. Haircuts don't lie. From Lord Vader. Thank you for your super chat. They say there's a verdict. That's what they're telling us. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. That is the scuttlebutt. Have you heard about the scuttlebutt? The what? The who said what? The da-da-da. Now I've been around the fish in the ground. You go squawk, and squawk, walk, and then walk. Judges on the bench, this isn't live? Oh, shit. Oh, you're right. Hold on. Sorry.
That there should be no emotional reaction. I was just about to address that, sir. Thank you very much. All right, members of the jury, my understanding, or members of the gallery, good evening. My understanding is that the jury in this matter has reached a verdict. I don't know what it's going to be until it's read. If you are unable to contain yourself emotionally, and you're going to react in any way, be it in joy or in sadness, I'm going to ask you politely to excuse yourself at this time. There cannot be any emotional outbursts when the verdict is read. Does everybody understand that? I see everybody nodding their heads. Okay. All right, State, are we ready to bring in our jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, are we ready to bring in our jury?
Yes, Judge.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in our jury. Everyone will remain seated.
Here we go, kids. Here we go. Choo-choo time. Choo-choo. Why remain seated? I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea why the judge said that. I don't know.
Do we enter?
State, do you recognize our jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, do you recognize our jury?
Yes, sir.
All right, members of the jury, you may be seated. Thank you. Members of our jury, good evening. I understand that you've come to a verdict in this case.
Yes.
If you could please hand the verdict form to the deputy, please. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, if you could please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial Circuit and in Orange County, Florida, case number 2020 CF 2603, the State of Florida versus Sarah Boone. Verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree as charged in the information. So say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 25th day of October 2024. The form has been signed by the foreperson.
Madam Clerk, please poll our jury.
Juror in seat number 1, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, it is.
Juror in seat number 2, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, it is.
Juror in seat number 3, is this your true
Yes,
and
it
correct
is.
verdict? Juror in seat number 4, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 5, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 6, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Members of our jury, again, I want to thank you for your time, your sacrifice, and your attention in this matter. I know that we spent almost 2 weeks together, and it was not taken lightly, and I really appreciate the time and the effort and the sacrifice that you put into this case. I want to advise you now of your final instruction. Members, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time and your consideration in this case. I also wish to advise you of some very special privileges enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. We have recognized for hundreds of years that a jury's deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair as long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you a unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work. Although you are at liberty to speak to anyone about your deliberations, you are also at liberty to refuse to speak to anyone. A request to discuss either your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, from the attorneys, or elsewhere. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. With that, members of the jury, again, I thank you for your service. I'm going to ask you return to the deliberation room. I'll be back there shortly with your jury certificates, and thank you.
Go ahead.
Guilty of murder. Guilty.
Ms. Boone, the jury has spoken in this matter and has found you guilty of murder in the second degree. The court adjudicates you guilty of murder in the second degree. As this is your first felony conviction, you are entitled to a pre-sentencing investigation by the Department of Corrections. Mr. Owens, are you seeking that in this case?
Yes.
Okay. State, I will order the Department of Corrections to prepare the pre-sentencing investigation. State, for the purposes of sentencing, do you anticipate eliciting any testimony from, be it the victim's family?
2 or 3 victim impact statements, sir.
Okay. Mr. Owens, do you plan on presenting any evidence during the course of the sentencing hearing, sir?
Probably some testimony from Dr. Harper.
Okay. All right. How long do you think, State, that you would need?
You mean timing-wise, or are we thinking?
A quantum of time, sir. Yeah, well, normally it takes about 30 days or so. I'm confirming with Anita as to availability. I just want to know from your side of the ledger how much time. Okay, 15 minutes. How much time do you think you're going to need to produce anything from your side of the ledger, sir? Mr. Owens.
I'd say 30 minutes.
Okay.
30 to 45.
So if we set this for an hour, that would be sufficient.
Hard to agree. Okay. State agrees.
Is that sufficient, Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Okay, all right, give me a moment.
I hope she lives a rich, long
Ms.
life.
Berrios is checking. Just
Very
give us a
long. Extremely long. 40, 50, 60 years. She deserves it.
We can set this matter for 1:30 in the afternoon for sentencing on December 2. State, is that acceptable? It's a Monday.
I have a status hearing, but I'll make it work.
I can move it to later if necessary.
I'm co-counsel on it. I can make it work.
Okay. Defense.
Give me 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
That's
No, the
Monday.
male juror wasn't biased. He was enthusiastic.
I can be here.
Ma'am, you've been adjudicated guilty. I now remand you into the custody of the Orange County Jail pending sentencing on December 2 at 1:30. State, anything else we need to address?
Not from the state.
Defense. All right, thank you very much. We're off the record.
Die. Die slowly. Die slowly and painfully. And alone and forgotten. In a concrete room. Forever. 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 So, yes, as is fairly typical, there's a pre-sentencing investigation done by the Department of Corrections, which is also pretty typical. Depending on your state, it can be done by the Office of Probation or some other office, but apparently, at least in Florida, or at least for this case, it is the Office of Corrections that does it. Fine. The pre-sentencing investigation goes through any sort of aggravating or mitigating factors that they can discover. Of course, any prior offenses, which there are none in this case, and also provides a recommendation, which is not binding, but they'll provide a recommendation, as well as the state will provide a recommendation. Of course, the defense will provide a recommendation, and then ultimately the judge can sentence her to, I believe, any term of years, 22 and a half. So he can sentence her to any term of years, 22 and a half or more, or for life. Those are the possible sentences. Any term of years, 22 and a half or more, or life. I'm not sure if that's with or with parole. I'm not sure how that works exactly. Doesn't matter. But anyways, that's what we're looking at. And if I were a betting man, I bet that she's not going to get the minimum. I would imagine that video resonated a little bit with the judge. I would imagine that she's probably not inclined to give her the bare minimum. So, 30, 40, life, all there's so many fun options to choose from. So let's watch Sarah Boone. Let's watch Sarah Boone do her little perp walk. I don't want you to miss the perp walk. We'll go back in time. I don't want you to miss the perp walk. There we go, Sarah. Enjoy it. You don't need those papers anymore, Sarah. You don't need those papers anymore. Goodbye, Sarah. You don't need those papers. Let's do your little perp walk. Little perp walk. Little perp walk. Little perp walk, yeah. Shake my little tush doing the perp walk. It looks like they're doing fingerprinting, I guess, and possibly a DNA sample, I would imagine. I'm not sure why we haven't already done fingerprinting or why we need to do it again, but I guess that's what we're doing now. I think the judge is certainly during the trial at least done as much to protect against any possible appeals. So I don't see any possible appeals from the trial itself, because he went out of his way to kind of rule for the defense every possible way. Yeah, exactly. Shh. Is life until death? Yes. Until you die. Which is not a silly question, incidentally, because different jurisdictions outside the United States use the term life differently. But in the United States, when we say life, we mean it. Life with review after 15 years if death was unintentional, and 25 years if death was intentional. Okay, fair enough. So, if that's the case, then I think then a sentence of a term of years would be more appropriate. So I think then a term of years would be my vote. If because this would be an unintentional death. So it would be 15 years. It would be 15. Well, that can't be because the minimum term is 25 and a half. But either way, I think I'd favor a term of years. Sentencing is December the 2nd at 1:30. December, because it takes about 30 days for the pre-sentencing report, plus time to potentially organize witnesses and stuff like that. So sentencing is on December the 2nd at 1:30 p.m. I imagine we'll tune in for that too. We are the champion, my friends. Now, you see, this is where you're wrong, Jason, in my humble opinion. Jason says, I bet she's kicking herself for not accepting the deal. I bet you she's not. I bet you she's not. I think she sees herself as the victim. She continues to see herself as a victim. I do not think she's kicking herself for not accepting the deal. She will see herself as the victim of a grand orchestrated conspiracy against her until literally the day she dies. She has no compass and no morals of any kind. She's unable to appreciate that she's done wrong. She sees herself as the victim. She does not regret it. She's incapable of regret. She's a monster. We are the champions, my friends. Dun, dun. We'll keep on fighting to the end. Dun, 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 dun. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers. We are the champions of the world. Yes. 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 Glorious. Gloria. 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 The jury got it wrong? Fuck you. The jury got it completely right. If you think the jury got it wrong, fuck off. If you think the jury got this wrong, you can fuck right off. Fuck you. Hamilton Berger has been a member for 11 months. Thank you very much. Oh, in Sarah's world, the jury got it wrong. Oh, okay. In Sarah's world, the jury got it wrong. Oh, okay. Well, fortunately, Sarah's world is a world of one, and I don't live there, and I don't want to even contemplate it. So let's move on. So much for freedom of speech. I'm not the government. I'm not the government. Who told you that you had freedom of speech here? Who told you that you had freedom of speech here? Fuck you. You don't. You have no freedom of speech. I'm not the government. You have no freedom of speech. Fuck you. Sorry if you were confused that you thought you had freedom of speech. You absolutely don't. I have freedom of speech. You don't. Go away. Thank you, The Garden Dogs. 1999. Is it unethical for attorneys to defend her? No, absolutely not. It's not unethical for attorneys to defend her. I thought their defense was a bit revolting and made me incredibly sad inside. But yeah. Are the attorneys doing a press conference? I don't know. Not that I saw. The one that we saw, at least, ended, but we can see. Although the defense did cross ethical lines, in my opinion, where they impugned the character of the prosecution. That crossed the ethical line. We don't disparage other attorneys. We don't do that. Without cause. So that was beyond that was beyond the line. If she's mentally ill, she's not mentally ill. Will it affect her sentence? No. I do not believe she's mentally ill. I do not believe she's mentally ill. In any sense, legally. She is not mentally ill. Legally, she is not mentally ill. It will not affect her sentence. You can't wait till they treat her like a prisoner? Yeah. She'll be told when to wake up. She'll be told when to go to breakfast. She'll be told what to do and where to be and all the rest of it. Her day will be fairly regimented. Yeah. There is a penalty phase. It's October the 2nd. If you mean the jury, no, there's no penalty phase in that sense. Like most states, sentencing is for the judge. A few states, allow the jury to participate, but Florida is not one of them. Texas is, incidentally, but not Florida. So there is no penalty phase. So if we were in Texas, we would have a penalty phase with the jury and they would decide a sentence. But we're not in Texas, so it's up to the judge, not the jury. Does she move now from jail to prison? No, she won't move from jail to prison until she's sentenced. She will move to prison after she's sentenced on the 2nd. In the meantime, she'll remain in jail. Why no JNOV? Why didn't they ask for JNOV? I don't know. Maybe they'll file one. Maybe they'll file it. Maybe they'll file a written motion for a JNOV. That'll be good. I mean, there's nothing stopping them. They can absolutely file one. Of course, it won't be granted. Will she get time served? Yes, absolutely. She's entitled to time served as a matter of law. So all the time she's served will obviously be a credit to her for any sentence. So you can subtract 4.5 from whatever number she'll ultimately get. What's a pre-sentencing investigation? As the name sort of implies, a pre-sentencing investigation is a department of the government. Typically, it's parole. It's the parole group that does it, but here it's Department of Corrections itself, wherein they do an investigation that kind of goes through any sort of aggravating or mitigating factors that can be established as a matter of law and provides a recommendation based on other comparable cases. It's a way to try to provide some sort of baseline of recommendation from the people that provide that. So, how does time served relate to a life sentence? It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. But you still get credit for it anyway. I mean, yeah. I mean, so you only have to serve. So you get out 4.5 years before you die, I guess. But since we don't know when that is, I guess we'll have to wait for death, and then we'll give you the credit. Isn't a life sentence 25 years? No. Not in the United States, it's not. No. Life means life. Whether it's with or without parole is a whole other issue. But when we say life, we mean life. We mean all of it. We mean all the things. That's what life means in the United States. Life means life. We don't fuck around here. There's a press conference. Exciting. Oh, there's a little press conference in the hall, it looks like. Okay, we'll watch this for a second. It looks like a very brief one in the hall. Caught him in the hall.
Want to jump in here, Garrett Weimer. We appreciate you watching. James Owens speaking with reporters. Let's listen in.
You know, in shock. She said she would call me tomorrow morning, so we'll talk some more after she's had some time to think about it. I've had some time to think about it, but, you know, we're obviously really disappointed. We did the best that we could, you know, in the time that we had to prepare. Sarah really liked the team, and we all got along with the 3 lawyers and the other 2 girls that have helped the other lawyer.
The other
4
girls.
lawyers working on the case. And Sarah was, as you know, really happy with us.
That's the second time.
And,
the other
you know, we had
girls.
some
Isn't that great? The 3 lawyers and the other girls. One of which is also a lawyer. But she didn't really count in the first instance. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? At least one of them is a lawyer. But he made a point of specifying she got really along well with the team, the 3 lawyers and the 2 girls, one of whom's also a lawyer, by the way. So women aren't full people. Neat. That's neat.
Disagreements about how the case should proceed, and Sarah, you know, is opinionated, and some of the things we considered, some not. But ultimately, I think she was happy with the defense. It just didn't go our way. As you know, these trials, you know, a murder charge is a difficult case to beat, and there was some strong evidence that the state used, obviously, and we just, for whatever reason, the jury didn't consider some of the things that we felt like should have.
No, that's not fair. That's not fair. You can't say the jury didn't consider it. I'm sure they considered it for as much value as it provided. I'm sure they gave it its full weight of consideration.
Potentially been defenses, the justifiable use of force under the battered spouse syndrome, but for whatever reason, we respect the jury's decision. They've been here for 2 weeks, took us 4 days to pick the jury, and so I'm sure they did the very best that they could under the circumstances.
Was it her decision to not take the plea deal, or do you think she regrets it now?
I don't think she would have taken anything. I think she wanted, some clients, they want their day in court, and I don't believe she would have taken anything. I felt like the state should have probably negotiated a little bit more, but they were firm on where they were, and Sarah was firm on where she was. I just think, she was convinced in her mind that that she felt like, she felt like she didn't intend to kill George, and that this was just a circumstance because they were both intoxicated. Things happened that, it was just really unintentional act. So I think she felt bad about any kind of a murder conviction or pleading to any kind of a murder, that she was somehow criminally responsible for George's death. And I think that's where her mindset was. And, I think she would have gone to trial even without lawyers. She was ready to go to trial pro se. I think she was happy we came in. We worked as hard as we could. We had about 45 days to get ready, and we did all that we could. So I think she feels good about our efforts. We put everything out on the table, just like any other contest. You do the very best you can, and then you have to accept, the decision by the jury. We respect the jury and appreciate their time and attention on the case.
Will you be representing her on her appeal?
No. No, I'll be
Will you be representing her for her appeal? No.
representing her at her sentencing, but not the appeal. I think she would qualify, since she's indigent, for court-appointed appellate counsel. And those guys, that's all they do is appellate work, and those are probably the best lawyers to handle something like that. But we're, as I said, really disappointed. Sarah is kind of in shock, but we respect the jury's decision. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Assuming she's appointed court-appointed counsel, they're going to file the I got nothing brief, which I can't remember the name of the case from the Supreme Court off the top of my head. But the court-appointed attorneys are going to file the I got nothing brief. I got no grounds. Yeah, but she can file her own brief if she wants. So, she can look forward to that. Anders, thank you. Anders is the name of the case. That's right. Anders is the name of the case. Thank you. We got more commentary from another attorney. Let's watch some more.
They are standing by and ready, so I'm going to go ahead and take that source, and let's listen in.
Yeah, sorry.
It's my big head fitting in all these lenses. That's what we're saying. Okay.
We got some shoulders on that.
All right. Everybody ready?
Yes.
All right. So today, as many of you know, Sarah Boone was convicted of second-degree murder of her boyfriend, Jorge Torres Jr. These events stem from an incident from February.
He's wearing a button. He's wearing a button that says "Love shouldn't hurt." He's wearing a button that says "Love shouldn't hurt." I have thoughts.
23rd of 2020, where she zipped her boyfriend up in a suitcase in what she claimed to be a game of hide and seek. And 2 videos were introduced from her where he was begging for his life, and a horrific turn of events. And she didn't try to let him out. She didn't do anything to help him. She just went upstairs and went to sleep. And so this is a very horrific homicide. Nobody really should have to endure this type of struggle and fight for their lives and have to die alone, begging for their last breath inside of a suitcase like this.
Oh, this is the state attorney.
And
this is the state attorney. I'm sorry. This is the state attorney. Oh, that makes more sense. Okay, never mind.
The jury did amazing work. I'm thankful for our chief of homicide, Will J, and our assistant state attorney, Dave Cacciatore. They did amazing work. Some of you caught me in the courtyard. I was like, I get briefings about it every single day about what they've been doing, but we're excited that they were able to bring this home with a victory because today justice was served with the conviction of Sarah Boone for this very horrific homicide that occurred. And so if you have any questions, I'm going to turn it over to them.
So strong, sorry.
The defense's argument, clearly the jury did not buy it. The argument was self-defense and battered spouse abuse.
Correct. And so we're going to turn over to Will and Dave to ask all specific questions as to all the defenses, because they did all the great work, so they deserve all the good credit.
Could you step up a little bit? Thank you.
Yeah,
So I assume he's the elected attorney. I assume he's the elected attorney. These guys are the assistant attorneys. So the head of the office showed up for the press conference. How nice.
like the defense, can we speak about that? I know the jury obviously did not buy that. They came down with that second-degree murder charge.
Correct, yeah.
Well, how does that make you feel? Did you get a chance to speak to the family, Torres?
Yes, we're very happy to gain some closure for the Torres family and some justice for George.
Strong closing arguments from the both of you today. What do you think, like she said, this case means for the family and getting justice for George Torres?
I think after 4.5 years and the numerous delays, I think they were finally just happy to see this case go to trial and be able to put this one in the books.
What do you think the appropriate sentence should be?
We'll reserve comment to the sentencing hearing.
Do you expect the verdict to come back that quickly? I think it was an hour and 20-something minutes, very fast.
Should never have expectations.
What do you think about the case law with respect to Martinez? I know there was a strongly worded letter you all signaled you would be sending. Is that right for judicial review higher up?
Can't really talk about future legal arguments.
How was it in the courtroom between you and James Owens? There was obviously moments of tension and then also moments of levity. Was this different than a typical battle that you go into?
I wouldn't say it was different than a different relationship than with most defense attorneys.
What would you say to the jurors who were here for about 2 weeks on this case? It was a long jury selection and then, of course, a lot of evidence to look at and all of that. What would you want to say to them?
Just thank them for their service.
Will, did you know that it was George Torres' mother who broke down in court today and that was the reason for the bit of an outburst?
I was made aware afterwards. It happens in these cases.
Do you have a chance to talk to her and say something to her?
I have not yet.
How about you, Dave?
I spoke to her along with the rest of the Torres family after the verdict, and just listened to them.
A strong rebuttal yesterday from you guys. What do you think that evidence showed the jurors and meant for this case?
Not going to really talk about the evidence.
Okay. Final question from me is, are you stunned that you did not take that plea deal?
It's not for us to say.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Sorry. You guys been here for a long time, a couple weeks, but thank you for coming, and thank you for covering the case.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the attorneys, the state attorneys are doing their job and, like, you know, not saying bullshit. State attorneys are being kind of reserved, which is kind of what they're supposed to do. You know, there are rules on the prosecutor as far as making out of court statements. You know, so they're being, you know, appropriately conservative for the prosecution. So good on them. It's nice for a change. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you would expect, right? It's like, that's about, you know, what you'd expect from a good prosecutor, really. You know, we're thankful for the jury. We're thankful for the verdict. You know, the evidence speaks for itself. You know, it's not for us to say what was or was not most persuasive to the jury. You know, we're not going to comment about future arguments because they haven't happened yet. You know, it's like, you know, that's what a prosecutor's press conference is kind of supposed to sound like. Very, very reserved, very demure, very demure, very demure. I hope she gets sentenced to a term of years. I hope she gets sentenced to 50 years. I hope she gets sentenced to 50 years. I hope she lives 49 of them. She deserves it. She deserves to live. She deserves to be sentenced to 50 years, and she deserves to serve 49 of them. Very demure, very, very mindful. Yeah. The Star Wars prosecution apparently worked, I guess. Yeah. Until the appeal is over, the case is still considered live. Right? So until the Court of Appeals decision comes down, the case is still considered live. So, yeah. You don't want to say anything. You don't want to be a problem. Yes, attorney-client privilege is still applicable even if you don't pay the attorney. Attorneys can work for free, and attorney-client privilege is not based on pay. That would be really, really dumb if it was. Yes. George's family finally has justice. Yeah. Automatic appeal? It's not automatic. There are no automatic appeals except in capital cases that I'm aware of. In capital cases, there can be automatic appeals, but there's not an automatic appeal. But she's entitled to an appeal as a matter of right. She's entitled to appeal. But, you know, she has to come up with something to find. You know, she has to find something for the Court of Appeals. Good luck. Appealing is extraordinary. Appealing is extremely difficult. Appealing is extremely difficult. Yeah, the number of like successful appeals depends on a little bit how you measure success. But, like, you know, successful appeals can be like 3% or less, depending on how you measure success. But yeah, it's very unlikely. Appellate courts really don't want to overturn jury verdicts, which is, you know, fair enough. That's the reason we have the jury system in the first place, right? It would be really odd if, you know, they could just come in and just reverse things for the hell of it. So they don't. Courts of appeals are not looking to overturn verdicts. So they don't. It's also worth mentioning, by the way, as long as we're trying to learn something legally, that, of course, the presumption of innocence is over now. Right? You're presumed innocent until you're found guilty. Well, she was found guilty, right? So she's no longer presumed innocent. So there is no more presumption of innocence. It's over now. So she's no longer presumed innocent. She's presumed guilty now. She's presumed guilty. So it's on her to prove anything that would have to be proved at this point. Good. Have fun. She's a murderess. Or murderex. Murderix. Murderix. She was found very, 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 very guilty. She was found very, very guilty. Well, it's a good fucking day, man. Does it mean that Brian is free from spousal support? Yep. Yeah, he doesn't have to pay. He doesn't have to pay spousal support anymore, and that child custody decision should be pretty easy. Since Sarah Boone's going to be otherwise occupied, it's going to be hard to share weekends and stuff. Her pride letter here. I guess pride. I don't know if I was trying to debate whether or not it's pride or not was what I was hesitant. I was like, is she prideful? Prideful isn't the first word that I would use to describe her. I would describe her as a psychopathic narcissist. It would be how I describe her. Prideful isn't exactly what I am. Psychopathic narcissist. Delusions of grandeur and entitlement. Yeah. Stop with that bullshit in chat, Jesse. I'm gonna time you out. You should stop with that bullshit. You can go to the timeout box. Delusional? Yeah. That much is fair. Sarah Boone does not have a great rap song though. So Daryl Brooks will always have a slightly Daryl Brooks may be a monster, but Daryl Brooks left a song in my heart. And I have been touched by What the Business. It has moved me. It has moved me. He may be a monster, but he created a banger. And it cannot be denied. What the business indeed, my friend. What the business indeed. We are all haunted by this question. We may never know the answer. Brooks did get more bodies, that's true. What's the verdict? Guilty of murder. Very guilty of very guilty of very murder too. They should house her with Brooks. Yeah, maybe we can all put all the really horrible people together. But we already do that. We already do put all the really horrible people together. We call it prison. So I guess we got that covered. It's not true about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, his dad, has been a meme on the internet for years and years and years. You guys should know better than that. It's been a meme forever. Are you just now hearing this meme for the first time? What's next? Sentencing on December the 2nd. What's the maximum she could get? Life is the maximum. Any term of years or life. Do I think she'll have the chutzpah to claim ineffective assistance of counsel? She can try, but it won't work on any level, even a little bit. She was given extremely effective assistance of counsel. What are her chances for appeal? Based on what happened at the trial itself, 0. Based on preliminary stuff, probably also close to 0. Like, the only thing I can think of is, like, the only ground of appeal I can imagine is the judge's order removing the judge ordering her pro se and then refusing to give her new counsel any additional time. Like, that's the only appellate issue I can see, is that she was improperly denied of counsel, and or that her new counsel was not given additional time. Now, I don't really think those arguments work, but it's the only, like, hypothetical thing I can imagine. Yeah, so the best argument is that's the best argument. It doesn't work, though, because she eventually got new attorneys who are very, very experienced and professional, and so it's probably moot, to be honest. I'm also very much looking forward to the Trump interview. They were supposed to record the Trump interview today. They were supposed to record it. So I'm imagining it's going to come out on Monday, I guess. And if the Joe Rogan interview comes out on Monday, I may live react to it. I may live react to the Joe Rogan interview because that sounds like fun. It comes out tomorrow? All right. Well, then maybe I'll live react to it tomorrow then. No, he didn't fucking pass away. Stop asking. (1 p.m.) Should be good. I might live react to it tomorrow then. Florida's 85%. Not for murder 2, it's not. I don't believe you get good credit time for murder 2, if I remember correctly. So I do not believe there's an 85% rule for murder 2. I think you serve all of it. With whatever. If there's parole, there's parole, but you don't get good credit time for murder 2. You would have got good credit time for the manslaughter, but not for the murder. So I don't think she gets good credit time. So no, I don't think so. Could she get new trial for ineffective assistance of counsel? No. Do you know how hard an ineffective assistance of counsel claim is? You could be drunk and or fall asleep and still not be found to be ineffective. It's really, really fucking hard to get an ineffective assistance of counsel claim. Okay. I warned you. Do I ban Zoe or do I just time her out forever? I'll time you out. Because you can't take a fucking hint. Okay, and Taylor gets timed out because you also can't take a hint. Owens was a good lawyer. For the most part, he was. I think you're crossing the line and impugning the character of the prosecution, though. You're welcome. All right, I guess I'm going to go ahead and sign off. There's nothing left for us to cover now. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and we will go from there. I've been Uncivil Law. Until later, my friends, I hope all's well. Cheers for now, my friends, and goodbye.